you will find, of course, at the top the 30 winners, but also you will find, as I was saying before, the shortlisted, which is projects that for us are very meaningful to look at because they feed our research, they feed our main interest. So, and also we have special mentions that also are other works that are very interesting for our observatory because again, they provide inputs, stimulus for our understanding of society, urgent issues. And mostly, Patrick, all of these people submitting through the awards, they give us a chance to understand, what people are looking at and why.
So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the winners, and we're going to just feature only a few. And these are some of the ones that stood out to Steve, but by no means is this like means that any of the ones that were not mentioned today were not impactful already. But these are just some of the ones that we could feature today, which means I highly recommend you get the catalog. You take a look at who won, because you have 30 amazing photographers covering tons of subject, and you can take a look at them here on the website, but also in the catalog itself. So I'm going to let you take us into some of the ones that stood out to you. We're going to share your screen again, and we're going to take a look at some of the winners.
Of course, Patrick, and it's of course a pleasure, an exciting pleasure for me to share some of these winners. Let's just, it's easy to look at them as well. Anyone can enter from the homepage, look into 2022 Urbanautica Institute Awards, and you will enter this archive of the 2022 edition, which is organized through, you will find, of course, at the top the 30 winners, but also you will find, as I was saying before, the shortlisted, which is projects that for us are very meaningful to look at because they feed our research, they feed our main interest. So, and also we have special mentions that also are other works that are very interesting for our observatory because again, they provide inputs, stimulus for our understanding of society, urgent issues. And mostly, Patrick, all of these people submitting through the awards, they give us a chance to understand, what people are looking at and why.
Yeah.
So this is very interesting. But jumping into the winners, of course, let me open you. I would start with Jesper Book project. This is a project that was selected for the category so-called representation of space, architectures, and conflicts. This is one of the important categories of Urbanautica because the important lies the name of itself of Urbanautica, Patrick. We have this word urban. Why urban? Why? So Nautica is navigating. It's browsing, it's navigating, it's leading us into this online, this other world, this internet world that invaded our life and eyes, basically. And urban stands for that major change of societies that is affecting societies all over the place. The world, we are more and more urban. We are more and more driven into cities, We are more and more driven into artificial light. So basically, Urbanautica combined these two worlds. It's a neologism trying to, combine these important phenomena of society. So on one side, more and more artificial thinking, more and more urban life, more and more pollution in a way. And the other way, we have the Nautica, we have the navigation, we have this new internet world that we are exploring. So our All Your Piece of Sky is an ongoing project showing the ever-changing landscape in the neighborhood of the Dutch photographer, which is made of construction site, fill the streets and the sky and create these endless new worlds of concrete and glass. I think we all know, we are all aware about what Jesper was speaking about. And basically what Jesper said, by visually examining these harsh environments and repositioning the images he tries, as he said in his own words, he tried to create an almost utopian world, utilizing the visual cues realtor used to seduce us. So let me just quickly browse with a couple of images here. I think what is interesting of this work by Jesper is, as you said, that it's not kind of traditional documentary work on real estate and speculations. It's more trying to interpret this phenomena. It's more to try to understand by creating, a narrative which is not specifically real. It's really up to a different level, which also recreate images. It's like creating new images in a way. And by creating new images, the author, I think, is actually making us feel a little bit deeper what we do with the world, keeping changing, keeping this utopia that as a human species we have, that we can do whatever we like of the world. We can construct it, we can change it constantly, we can add things on top of the planet, right? So I think the real estate world and especially how the real estate communicate through advertising, their imaginaries, I think this is very interesting field of research. And I felt that Jesper was helping us to grasp a little bit of what's behind of the scene of this world in a way that is not just like documentary traditionally, returning as it is. That's what I mean with documentary traditionally. But he was trying to bring his personal take, his personal emotion, his feelings in it, and create a completely new imaginarium. So this is a good example, I think, of works that can be selected on Urbanautica. And the reason is that they show us possibilities, Patrick. They show how we can use, there are a lot of people that have, filled our ears with the world of photography's and with this post-photography world. So I do feel that actually we're going in opposite direction. We are trying instead to be positive and show what there's still room for visual makers to do things that have an impact. We are tired of listening to everything being said, everything's been done. We don't believe that. We believe that if we are serious about your work, if we are, honest and true about what we do, there's still a lot of things that can be done and said through images. And Urbanautica Awards is just a proof of that. Let me show you another interesting work. This is Valentino Bellini. The work is called La Mancha Urbana. This is a documentary, ongoing, gigantic documentary by this Italian photographer who's been investigating the phenomena of gigantic metropolis in the Latin countries. It's very different from the work we just seen of Jesper Booth. It's more landscape. It's more trying to embrace at a bigger scale transformation. You don't see people here very much. You see the signs of transformations. It's a very interesting, clever investigation on urbanism as a phenomena, as a global phenomena, here narrowed down to Latin countries, of course. Um, but it's very much speaking of where are we going as a society? Where are we going as communities? How do we live? What is the definition of a habitat? I think the works of Valentino Bellini has a lot of inputs for people that studies urban sociology, for people that are studying different, looking for different nuances in how we shape our places, how we relate to the environment. I think this is a very, very promising work by Valentino, and I hope one day it will end up on a book. It's an outstanding work. He's not just a good photographer. I hope you can see already by looking at them on the screen, but you can really feel the importance of this work and how it's helping us to not just digest. It's not just point finger. It's really trying to open up the space to us and let us understanding what's going on. I could talk about this for hours. The work of Valentino let me think about another interesting photographer that you will find works on the platform. His name is an American photographer. His name is Noah Addis. I don't have the time now to show it up, but you will find it. What is also interesting about investing time in researching and searching our observatory, that you will find patterns. You will find there are photographers out there that push you forward a similar investigation that you can start comparing and find differences. And maybe you can reach out to them. You can send them an email because you feel that what they're doing is relevant for you. So you can reach out to them. That's what I often do. That's how I started Urbanautica. I was, hey, I love what you're doing. Can you tell me something about it? So this is just two projects I wanted to show, but there's so much.
We have time for a few more. You can grab a few more here.
Okay, so let me just introduce Marisol Mendez. She's a young documentary and visual artist from Bolivia, who actually, I know Patrick was one of your recent guests at the podcast, so more will come about her work. But I want to introduce her work because I feel it's a relevant work that addresses another topic. We have seen architecture, we have seen environmental issues, but also there's a lot about memories and tradition on our platform. We do care a lot about how people investigate their tradition, their stories, their past, family past, community past, nation past. And there's a lot we can discover from looking back. Sometimes it's delving into the archives. Sometimes it's trying to cope with stereotypes. Sometimes it's also in relation to, this is happening more and more, to understanding the heritage or the colonial background of countries. And so we appreciate photographers and artists that are trying to relate to their own history. They're trying to relate to their own origins in a world that is moving fast forward more and more. And we leave things behind. Even the pictures we take with our phone, everything runs behind our shoulders very quickly today. So spending time to look back beyond our shoulder, I think it's already a good way to slow down a bit. So I think this is a very meaningful work with strong portraiture that I hope people will find inspiring as much as we did, and that's why we decided to give an award to this Bolivian artist. Let me try, Patrick, to maybe
But I'm glad you featured Marisol. She was a recent guest on the podcast, which will be coming out fairly soon. She was recently in Paris for Photo, and she was featuring her work and doing an artist talk. And we got a chance to sit down with her and take a look at each one of these images and look at her perspective on those. So look for that episode coming soon. That's going to be a very cool podcast for everyone to jump into. We plan on doing a lot more of these, and people that are involved with this call will be on that show. But that is a very insightful conversation, and she takes us into Bolivia and her examination of the role of women in her society, and the way it's a fascinating conversation. So I would highly recommend taking a look at it.
Yeah, I'm very, and the first very much looking forward to it, Patrick. Yeah, just to include, this is a work by Louise Honi. She recently also released a new book, Paris Photo. So we were very happy to see this project that I'm showing now, called The Double Roses, ending up in the book and having, the attention that it deserves. And so, sometimes it's good that seeing that photographers that we awarded ended up, publishing the books of the project that we awarded. It's not just a good confirmation, but it's also highlighting that the importance that we recognize in the works, is becoming more accessible to a larger audience through books and publications. So we are very proud of that. I think this is such an intimate and beautiful and lyrical work, speaking of childhood, nature. It's bringing some very positive perspective. I think photography is also about this, Patrick. Of course, it's tackling urgencies, but also sometimes also reminding of that we can find relief and healing in beauty, in nature, in childhood. We should never forget that. And I think photographers like Louise Honi really remind us of this importance of, chasing beauty, chasing poetry, and share it with the world. Let me show you just another work that I had in mind. You mentioned this is a work by Filippo Barbero that will. I just ended reading the interview for the next upcoming catalog. Patrick, I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but one of the great things about the catalog, the awards, that there's a lot to read. Again, one of the reasons why it takes like almost a year to edit the catalogs, that it takes time to produce these writings, and this very thoughtful conversation with all these 30 photographers, but it's priceless to be able to share these stories. Our interviews with conversation with these 30 photographers are very thoughtful. They delve into the very early steps they did with photography, why they started, the early shoots. Sometimes it's a chance to understand, the studies they went through, the education they had, mentors, people that were meaningful It's about books. You'll always ask photographers to, tell us about great books, not just photography books they read, they were inspiring for them. And we also, of course, relate to try to investigate the reason, the motivations, the challenges of the projects that we have awarded, understanding also how they edit, how they select the images, the takeaways, what they learned from this project, how the people were involved, if they dialogue with experts during the work. So these are very large interviews. And to be honest, sometimes the input we get back is so amazing and sometimes so large that we cannot feature everything in the catalog. So most of the time, these interviews also are featured online in a different editing. So, for instance, this work I'm showing here by Filippo Barbero is a very long-term ongoing work about this little village in the Apennine, in Tuscany, in Italy. This very pristine environment among the woods and hills, where basically his grandparents had a little house. And so Filippo has grown up and visiting this little village in the hills, and very tied to his grandparents, as often happens. And so this tale called Borderland is a tale about his relationship with his grandparents that, unfortunately, they died along the project, along the way, along this very long-term documentary. But the good thing is, still, since the house is not there and the house was sold, but connection was so strong with this land and this community because of the grandparent that he's still going back there, even he has no place to stay now. But he's going back and he's keeping up his work. And you were asking me, Patrick, how do we choose the project? Sometimes it's really about emotion, Sometimes I feel that so strong the message, the story itself beyond the image, it's so relevant for the world, for the people, Sometimes we need sentiments, we need emotion, we need projects that speak of such a positive attitude toward the world and people that we have to share that. It's not just about, photographs by Filippo are amazing. They're so alive and beautiful, I know people don't like the word beautiful. I love the word beautiful. The works of Filippo is simply beautiful. That's it. We don't have to be afraid of using that word. But beyond that, the story it holds the story that is hidden behind this image is such a story that speaks of humanity. When humans can be nice to people, when humans can be, full of love for a land, for a community, up to this level, well, then this is, for me, is a great project, Patrick. So there's a lot of this behind the works that passed through the awards, ended up being the catalog.